Today we are going to continue dividing. We are going to use pictures, but we're also going to continue what we did from last week. The craft club made 375 keychains. They sold 137 of the keychains at the school fair. The rest need to be packed into 2 boxes with the same number of keychains in each box. We would like to find out how many keychains will go in each box. Think, is this a one-step problem, a two-step problem, or a several-step problem? If you said several-step problem, then you are correct. We know that they started with 375 keychains, and they sold 137 of them. So first, we need to subtract 375 minus 137 to see how many keychains are left. We find out that there are 238 keychains left. Next, we have to divide. If each of the keychains that are left need to be packed into 2 boxes with the same number of keychains, that tells me that they're being put into equal parts, so we need to divide. If we look right here at the picture, we can see that there are 2 groups because we're dividing them into 2 boxes. The squares represent 100. If we have 238, this square represents 100 and this square represents 100. Next, we're going to divide the tens. We have 3 tens, if you can see them right here. So in step C, we're going to divide the tens. We could equally put 1 10 in one group and 1 10 in another group. That leaves us with 1 10 left out and our 8 ones. In our last step, we need to divide the 1 10 and 8 ones, which happens to be 18 ones, into the 2 groups. We're going to have to take this 10 right here, and we're going to have to break it into 10 ones. Once we do that, we will have 9 of the ones in each group. If we count the total, we will have 100 in each group, we will have 110 in each group, and we will have 9 ones in each group. Therefore, we will have 119 keychains that go in each box. We're also going to practice doing this the way we did it on Friday. And this is the way that I would like you to try to do all of your problems. We know that we need to divide 238 keychains into 2 groups. We're going to use the steps that we learned last week. When we divide, we use 4 steps. First, we divide. Next, we multiply. Then we subtract. Then we bring down the next number. And we go back and repeat the steps until we are done. So first, we're going to divide. How many times does 2 go into 2? Well, the answer is 1, because 2 times 1 is 2. And then we multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. We subtract, which would be 0. And we bring down our 3. Now we're going to start over, and we are going to divide. How many times does 2 go into 3? Well, 2 can only go into 3 once, because 2 times 2 is 4, and that would be too many. Then we multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. Then we subtract and we bring down our 8. Then we ask ourselves, again, how many times does 2 go into 18? Well, 2 times 9 is 18. So we have an answer of 119 keychains that will go into each box. Let's look at the convince me on the bottom of the page. We want to tell how you would evenly divide the money shown among 4 people only using $10 bills or $1 bills. Well, if we look at the money, we have $10 bills going across, and then we have some $1 bills. So if we add this money up, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 61, 62, 63, $64. So we have $64, and we want to divide it equally among 4 people. Well, there are 2 different ways you can show this problem. First, let's show it the way we have been practicing. So we have 64 inside our bracket because that is our dividend, and we are going to divide it among 4 equal groups. We are going to use our steps where we divide, then we multiply, then we subtract, and then we bring down, repeat. So let's first start with dividing. We want to see how many times 4 goes into 6. Well, 4 can only go into 6 one time because 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 would be 8, which would be too many. So I have divided, I have multiplied, my 4 times 1 is 4. Now I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then I'm going to bring down the digit to the next place, which happens to be our ones place, and is a 4. So now we have a new dividend of 24. So now we're going to start over. We want to see how many times does 4 go into 24. Well, 4 times 6 is 24. So now we're going to multiply. 4 times 6 is 24. We're going to subtract, and we have no money left over. So each person is going to get 1 $10 bill and 6 $1 bills, or $16. Now let's show how to do the same problem using a little picture. So if I'm going to divide 64 into 4 equal groups, I'm going to draw 4 equal groups. Now, if I have 6 $10 bills or $60 worth 10 bills, I'm going to divide those equally among the 4 equal groups. So I'm going to have 10, 20, 30, 40. But I have 2 10s left over. So I'm going to have to break apart those 10s into 1s. So now I'm going to have 20 1s. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's going to represent this first 10. And then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's going to represent my second 10. So I have 20 1s. Now I can divide those 21s equally among these 4 groups. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. So I'm going to place 5 of those 1s into each one of these. So I have 5 there. I'm going to add 5 over here, 5 over here, and 5 over here. So now I have all 60 10s separated into the 4 groups. But I still have 4 more 1s. So for each of those, I'm going to add one more into each group. Now, if I add up all of in each group, if I add it up, I have 110 plus I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones. So in each group, I have $16. Now, I know that I did this 2 different ways. We are going to focus on doing it this way, but I wanted to show you what it looks like with a picture. Don't worry if you are confused about the drawing that I just did. Groups. Let's do the guided practice together. Don't worry about drawing the pictures. I'm going to do it for number 1, but for the rest of the problems, let's just focus on the one way we learned how to do dividing last week. If drawing pictures are easier for you, go ahead and do it that way. You can solve these problems any way you want, as long as you can get an answer. Number 1, draw a picture to explain why 423 divided by 3 is 141. First, let's do this problem the way we have already been practicing. We have 423 divided by 3. Now, if something is going to be a multiple of 3, we can use our trick ahead of time to see if there will be a remainder. And to know if a number is a multiple of 3, we just add 4 plus 2 plus 3. Well, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 plus 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. This is something we have been working on in calendar, so we know we should not get a remainder. Now let's use our steps to divide. First, we're going to divide. How many times can 3 go into 4? I know 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. Since 6 is too many, I know 3 can go into 4 only one time. Next, we multiply. What is 3 times 1? Well, 3 times 1 is 3. Our next step is we need to subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. And our last step is that we need to bring down the 2. So now we have a new dividend, which is 12, and we're going to repeat the process. So we're going to say in our head, how many times can 3 go into 12? Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So then we just multiply 3 times 4. We write down 12, we subtract, and then we're going to bring down our 3. Now we are ready to do this one more time, since we still have a digit to place over our ones. So now we start over and say, how many times does 3 go into 3? Well, I know 3 times 1 is 3. We subtract and we get a remainder of 0. So our answer is 141, just like it says up here. So now, if we were going to draw our picture, we have 3 equal groups. So I'm going to draw 3 circles to represent my 3 equal groups. I have 4 hundreds. Remember, hundreds look like squares. I have 2 tens. They look like sticks. And I have 3 ones. Sorry, I'm going to fix that for you. Let's see, these are our 3 ones. So now, first we need to break apart our hundreds. So since we have 4 hundreds, we can place 100 in each group. So I'm going to cross those off because we've already used them. Now we have this 100 left. Well, we cannot place that 100 into our 3 groups because there's only one of them. So we're going to have to trade it in for 10 tens. So now this 100 is going to be 10 tens. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to cross it off because I've used it. If we count our tens, we have the 10 on the bottom plus the 2 on the top. So now we have 12 tens. And we know that 12 divided by 3 is 4. So each group will have 4 tens. No, it's a little bit hard to see. And last, we have our 3 ones. And we can take those 3 ones and put them into each of... Whoops, sorry, I made a mistake. We can take our 3 ones and put one of them in each group. So we've got one here, and one here. So now if I count up how many are in each group, I would have 100, 4 tens, and 1 1. So in each group, we have 141. There was so much work on the last page that I had to split this problem onto 2 different pages. Let's look at number 2. It says, the art teacher displayed 48 paintings on 3 walls. If each wall had the same number of paintings, we would like to find out how many paintings were on each wall. So I know I have 48 paintings, and I'm going to divide them equally between 3 walls. So I'm going to have 48 divided by 3. If I add 4 plus 8 together, I get 12. And 3 times 4 is 12. So this number is a multiple of 3, 48. So I should not have a remainder. Let's write 48 divided by 3 and use our steps. How many times does 3 go into 4? Well, 3 goes into 4 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. Now I'm going to subtract, and I will get 1 and bring down my 8. This is my new dividend. So now I'm going to ask, how many times does 3 go into 18? Well, 3 times 6 is 18. So I have a remainder of 0. There will be 16 paintings. I'm just going to put P for paintings on each wall. Number 3. I have 176 magazines divided equally into 5 boxes. I know because of calendar that 176 is not a multiple of 5 because it does not end in a 0 or a 5. Therefore, my answer for this problem will have a remainder. I know I need to divide 176 divided into 5 equal groups. So we're going to write down 176 divided by 5. Now, let's start with dividing. Step 1. 5 cannot go into 1 because 1 is less than 5. Therefore, for my first step, I'm going to need to divide 17 by 5, not 1 by 5. So 5 goes into 17 3 times, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now I'm going to subtract the difference and get 2, and then do step 4 and bring down my 6. I have my new dividend, which is 26. So now I'm going to divide. How many times does 5 go into 26? Well, 5 goes into 26 5 times, and 5 times 5 is 25. Then I'm going to subtract, and I will get a remainder of 1. So if I have 176 magazines divided equally into 5 boxes, each box will have 35 magazines, and then I will have 1 magazine left over that will not be placed in a box. And for my last problem, I have 56 marbles divided equally into 3 bags. So, number 4, I have 56 marbles divided into 3 bags. 5 plus 6 is 11. So this answer quotient will also have a remainder. 56 divided by 3. 3 will not go into 56 equally. Let's divide. First, we're going to divide. How many times does 3 go into 5? Well, 3 can go into 5 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to subtract and get 2 and then bring down my 6. I have 26 as my dividend. So now I'm going to divide. How many times does 3 go into 26? Well, 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. And 3 times 9 is 27, which would be too many. So 3 goes into 26 8 times. 3 times 8 is 24. Now I'm going to subtract, and I would get a remainder of 2. So there will be 18 marbles in each bag, and then there will be 2 marbles left over that will not go into a bag. You can draw pictures if you want, or you can do it the way we have been working on. Go ahead and do the rest of the problems on page 279, and then come show me your work. If you're having a lot of trouble, try to do one on your own, and then come see me.